Hello, dear viewers. Support me by subscribing to my channel and share my video if you like it. And also, make sure you comment your thoughts. Now let's start the video. Kai stared up at the building. Isn't this the headquarters of Silph Co., the same building that Team Rocket took over in the Pokémon games? He studied the first floor carefully. Everything appeared normal. Security guards patrolled routinely, and a bored receptionist yawned at her desk, yet something felt off. Suddenly, the wail of a police siren echoed as a patrol car sped past. It didn't stop at the Silph Tower, but continued toward another part of the city. Kai frowned and listened closely. The sound of distant shouting suggested a commotion a few streets away. Weird, he muttered. Why does the city feel so chaotic all of a sudden? Seeking answers, Kai climbed to a vantage point in a deserted alley. From his backpack, he retrieved a pair of binoculars and focused on the higher floors of the Silph Tower. The smoke had mostly dissipated, but through the windows he caught sight of figures in black uniforms with a prominent red R emblazoned on their chests. They were herding researchers to other areas while extinguishing the remnants of a fire. Team Rocket! Kai's eyes narrowed. He hurried to a nearby public phone booth and called the police. The line rang for a long time before someone picked up. He quickly described what he'd seen, but the response shocked him. What? We've already sent officers to investigate the Silph Tower, and they didn't find anything unusual, the operator said firmly. In fact, we've checked twice. The building is clear. Now, if you'll excuse me, we're dealing with real emergencies. Unlike your pranks. Pranks? Kai protested, but the operator had already hung up. He sighed, piecing together Team Rocket's strategy. They must have staged this perfectly. Call the police early. When officers arrived at the Silph Tower and found nothing, they dismissed it as a false alarm. Create chaos elsewhere. By orchestrating citywide disturbances, Team Rocket pulled law enforcement away, ensuring no one investigated the tower again. Control the narrative. Even if a researcher managed to call for help, disguised operatives in the lobby would dismiss the claim as a repeat hoax. A clever plan, Kai admitted grimly. Kai snapped a few photos of the tower with his phone and sent them to Looker, the Interpol agent he'd worked with before. The call came moments later. Is it really Team Rocket's doing? Looker asked urgently. I'm tied up investigating their base in Celadon City. I'll head there, but I'm hours away. Yes, it's them, Kai confirmed, but their strategy has everyone fooled. I've tried calling the police and they're convinced it's another prank. Looker groaned. That explains a lot. But what are they after? Silph Co. produces Pokemon-related tech, including Pokeballs. Surely Team Rocket doesn't need those. Kai shrugged. Who cares? Whether they're after rare tech or hosting their boss's birthday party, we can't let them succeed. Looker chuckled. True. But your photos didn't capture much evidence. Without visible rockets in the frame, it'll be hard to convince anyone official to act. Kai smirked. Sounds like you're asking me to handle this myself. Not alone, Looker assured him. I've contacted the Pokemon League to send backup. Someone should be arriving soon to assist you. Before Kai could respond, the call ended. He tucked his phone away and resumed observing the tower. A few minutes later, a familiar voice startled him. What are you doing here? Kai turned and froze. Sabrina? Sabrina, the Saffron City gym leader, raised an eyebrow. I was told by the Pokemon League to assist an Interpol operation. I didn't expect you to be involved. Kai quickly explained the situation, gesturing toward the Silver Tower. Sabrina nodded. So we need to infiltrate the building and uncover their plan. What's your strategy? Kai thought for a moment. Sneaking in from the lobby won't work. My original plan was to have Curlia use Psychic to lift me to a higher floor, then scout with Ghastly. But since you're here, let's tackle this together. Sabrina smirked faintly. Fine, but let's make one thing clear. I'm not here to babysit. Kai grinned. Wouldn't dream of it. Sabrina asked calmly, so how do we get in? Kai glanced up at the monitors around the Silph Co. building, then surveyed the area and pointed to a nearby office tower. That building is only half as tall as the Silph Co. tower. If we can access the roof and get inside from there, we can avoid the Team Rocket grunts stationed at the base. Sabrina didn't argue. She followed Kai across the street, blending in with a crowd of white-collar workers as they entered the adjacent office building. The two took the elevator to the top floor. At the stairwell leading to the roof, Sabrina used her psychic powers to break the lock, allowing them to proceed unimpeded. Psychic powers really are incredibly convenient, Kai thought. The cold wind greeted them as they stepped onto the rooftop. Kai walked to the edge of the railing and looked out. From this height, the cars on the street below seemed like tiny toys. The Silphco Tower stood some distance away, looming imposingly. "What's the matter? Are you scared?" Sabrina asked, her voice soft. "It's not fear," Kai admitted, "though my legs are trembling a bit, but there's no way I'm backing down now." He scanned the tower across the gap, his sharp eyes quickly spotting a broken floor-to-ceiling window likely damaged during Team Rocket's incursion. Beyond the shattered glass was an office, now abandoned due to the chaos. "That's our entry point," Kai declared. Sabrina nodded slightly in agreement. Kai then turned to his Curlia, motioning for her to come closer. Curlia wrapped her small arms around his waist, ready to teleport. In an instant, they vanished, reappearing moments later in the abandoned office within the Silphco Tower. Kai turned to look back across the gap and saw Sabrina effortlessly levitating toward them. She floated in through the window, landing gracefully. Of course, psychic powers, he thought wryly. Must be nice. When they regrouped, Kai whispered, "Ghastly." A ghostly form emerged from his shadow. "What's up?" it asked. Before Kai could respond, Sabrina's hand flew to her mouth in surprise.
"They can talk?"
Ghastly shot her a sidelong glance. "What's so surprising about that? It's just human language, after all. Kid, you've got a lot to learn about the world." "Enough," Kai interjected, waving a hand. "No need to be smug, Ghastly. I need you to scout the area. Focus on locating Team Rocket's positions." "Got it," Ghastly replied before phasing through the wall and disappearing. Sabrina watched the ghost Pokémon leave, then turned her attention back to Kai, her expression one of quiet curiosity. "Trainer, member of Interpol, and you have a talking Ghastly. I didn't expect someone my age to have experienced so much." "I'm nothing compared to you," Kai replied, his tone light. "You're a gym leader with psychic powers. That's way more impressive." Sabrina didn't react to the compliment, instead pressing on. "Do you know what Team Rocket's goal is here?" Kai shook his head. "No idea," he admitted in his thoughts. "I can barely remember anything about Silphco from the games. It's been too long, but it must involve the company president." He took out his phone and frowned. As he'd suspected, there was no signal, just like aboard the SSN. It wasn't long before Ghastly returned. "Most of the grunts are concentrated on the top and bottom floors," it reported. "The middle floors have fewer guards." "What about the staff?" Kai asked. "They've been herded into a few rooms and are being guarded separately, but it doesn't seem like Team Rocket plans to hurt them, at least for now." "What's our next move?" Sabrina asked. Kai thought for a moment. "We can't save everyone by ourselves, but if we rescue the company president, we could disrupt Team Rocket's plans. That seems like our best bet." Sabrina nodded. "Dangerous, but reasonable. Don't worry. I promise to help, and I will." "That's reassuring," Kai said, with a small smile. Taking a deep breath, he peered cautiously into the hallway, but quickly pulled back. "There's a security camera ahead. If we step out now, they'll spot us. We need to take out the surveillance first." He turned to Ghastly. "Split up, find the security room, and disable their system. Meet us on the top floor when you're done." Ghastly grinned, mischievously. "Leave it to me. Breaking stuff is my speciality." With that, it dissolved into the shadows. Silphco, security room, ground floor. Two Team Rocket grunts sat watching the monitors, their eyes glued to the screens. They had strict orders from both the boss and their squad leaders, maintain vigilance at all times. Despite being part of an evil organization, Team Rocket treated its members surprisingly well. The group had access to significant resources, including Pokémon, high-tech equipment, and competitive salaries. They even hosted social events like tea parties and team-building activities, fostering loyalty among their ranks. Suddenly, a voice crackled over the intercom. "How's everything looking down there?" It was a smooth, almost mocking tone. "All clear outside, sir," one grunt replied, his voice tense. "And inside?" the voice pressed. The grunt scanned the screens. "No anomalies detected on any floor, sir." "Excellent," the voice said. "Stay alert and report any changes immediately." "Yes, sir." The grunt set down the walkie-talkie and wiped his forehead. "No matter how many times I talk to the higher-ups, it's nerve-wracking every time," he muttered. He waited for his partner to chime in, but there was no response. Confused, he turned around to see the other grunt slumped over the console, unmoving. "Hey, quit messing around," he barked, shaking his companion. "How can you fall asleep on the job?" Before he could finish, a sinister laugh echoed through the room, sending chills down his spine. Despite his efforts, he pushed several times, but the Team Rocket member showed no signs of waking up. Startled, he was about to cry out when he suddenly felt something behind him. Whipping his head around, he found a large, round black face pressed against his own. Before he could scream, a thick, slobbery tongue licked his face. In an instant, he felt his head spin, and like his companion, he collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Deji, Ghastly cackled mischievously. Enjoy your nightmares. Having incapacitated the two Team Rocket members, Ghastly turned its attention to the array of surveillance equipment in the room. A shadow ball began to form before it hurled at the main control console. With a burst of sparks, the monitors flickered and went dark. That should do it. Satisfied, Ghastly nodded at its handiwork and prepared to vanish, but just then the walkie-talkie on the desk crackled to life. Monitoring room? I thought I heard something just now. What's going on over there?
Ghastly's form shimmered and morphed until it perfectly resembled one of the unconscious Team Rocket members. Picking up the walkie-talkie, it mimicked the original voice flawlessly. Report, everything's normal here. The noise earlier was just me bumping into a chair.
Understood, came the voice from the other end, without a hint of suspicion. Continue monitoring. On the 15th floor, Kai peeked cautiously down the corridor. As soon as the red light on the monitor faded, he knew Ghastly had succeeded. Gesturing to Sabrina, the two began making their way toward the stairwell. In their current situation, taking the elevator was too risky. If discovered, they'd have no chance of escape. However, luck was not on their side. Just as they reached the stairs, the sound of hurried footsteps echoed from below. Kai froze. The footsteps were alarmingly close, and there wasn't enough time to retreat to their previous room. Before he could decide on a course of action, Sabrina grabbed his sleeve and pulled him into a nearby room. They barely managed to close the door before several Team Rocket members emerged onto their floor. Realizing they couldn't afford to be discovered, both quickly scanned the room for a hiding spot. It appeared to be a recreation room belonging to Sylph Co. with several pool tables, sofas, and potted plants scattered about. In the far corner, a row of tall lockers stood side by side. Hurrying over, they attempted to open the lockers, but each one was locked. Just as Sabrina was about to use her psychic powers to force one open, Kai managed to tug a door loose. Although the locker accommodated both of them, it was still tight, forcing them into proximity. Their breathing was shallow and audible, mingling in the confined air. They had no time to dwell on the awkwardness. The activity room door creaked open as several Team Rocket members entered. Search the place thoroughly, one of them barked. Leave no stone unturned. Captain, another protested. Haven't we already swept the entire building? Why go through it again? Fool, the captain snapped. This place is massive, and those scientists are crafty. They might still be hiding somewhere. Our plan cannot afford any slip-ups, so stay sharp. Footsteps approached the lockers. One grunt tugged at a locker door, but found it firmly locked. Grumbling, he moved to the next one. The same result. When he reached Kai and Sabrina's locker, Kai braced himself, expecting the worst. However, the grunt yanked at the handle, only to find it immovable thanks to Sabrina's psychic powers. Why are all these lockers locked? He muttered, before moving on. Across the room, the captain called out, What's the situation? All locked. Fine. Move on to the next room. But Captain, one grunt complained, Can't we take a break? We've been combing floor after floor without stopping. Yeah, just a short rest. Another chimed in. After a moment's hesitation, the captain relented. All right, 5 minutes, then we resume the search. The grunts cheered softly and slumped onto the sofas. Inside the dim, stifling locker, Kai and Sabrina remained silent. The air was growing stuffy, and the temperature steadily rose in the enclosed space. Meanwhile, in the room, the grunts took advantage of the break to chat idly. Captain, what's the big deal about this operation anyway? As lower-ranked members, they weren't privy to the details of Team Rocket's mission. Curious, they pestered the captain for answers. At first, the captain was tight-lipped, but eventually gave in. Fine, I'll share a little. But keep it to yourselves. Clearing his throat, he continued, The assets of Sylph Coco are valuable, but our real target is the Master Ball. They've been secretly developing. Master Ball? One grunt echoed, confused. What's that? The captain's expression lit up with excitement. It's the ultimate Pokeball. They say it can catch any Pokemon, no battle, no effort required, and with a 100% success rate. No way, one of the grunts gasped. Believe it, the captain chuckled. That's why Team Rocket has gone to such lengths to seize this place. If we get our hands on the Master Ball, capturing rare and powerful Pokemon will be child's play. The grunts murmured in awe at the revelation, their fatigue momentarily forgotten. Master Ball, this is indeed their goal. At this moment, Sabrina twisted slightly in discomfort. After holding the same position for an extended period, her body had inevitably grown stiff. However, as she shifted to relieve the tension, her proximity to Kai grew closer. Feeling the warmth and noticing a few soft sensations, Kai's heart began to race. Even Sabrina's breathing seemed to quicken slightly. Fortunately, the Team Rocket members only took a short break before leaving the activity room. As their voices faded away, Kai and Sabrina quickly emerged from their hiding spot in a cramped locker.
After being confined for so long, Kai took a deep breath of fresh air. Was it his imagination, or had Sabrina's subtle fragrance lingered on him?
To avoid further awkwardness, Kai deliberately avoided meeting Sabrina's gaze and instead peeked cautiously out the door. A dark, round face stared back at him. Kai flinched before realizing it was his own Ghastly. "Why are you outside?" he whispered. "It's because you were moving so slow." Ghastly floated in through the wall, glancing suspiciously between Kai and Sabrina. "Weird. What were you two doing just now?" Her face looks a little red. "Hey, don't talk nonsense!" Kai waved his hand, attempting to cover Ghastly's mouth, but his hand went straight through its ethereal form. "We were just hiding from Team Rocket!" Ghastly smirked, clearly unconvinced. Sure. Whatever you say. Anyway, the coast is clear now. Let's get moving." Leaving the activity room, Kai and Sabrina ascended the stairs cautiously. The building, however, was crawling with Team Rocket members. Before long, they ran into a group head-on. "Who are you?" one of the grunts barked. Kai and Sabrina's attire didn't match the lab coat wearing researchers. Before the grunt could act, Sabrina's eyes glowed faintly, and the entire group was swiftly enveloped in psychic energy. Moments later, they were transformed into small, doll-like figures, completely immobilized. This was the same technique Sabrina had once used to deal with Brock and Misty when Ash challenged her at the Saffron City gym. The victims could not resist, and could only be manipulated by her psychic powers. However, the grunt's shout had alerted others. More Team Rocket members poured into the area. "Things aren't going as smoothly as we hoped," Kai muttered. The two bolted up the stairwell with an ever-growing crowd of Team Rocket grunts in pursuit. "Intruders. What's going on? Why didn't the surveillance room catch this? How did they sneak in? Report this to the executives." After several frantic flights of stairs, their path was blocked by another group of grunts at the next landing. With enemies both in front and behind, their situation looked grim. "Guess we have no choice," Kai said, pulling out a Pokeball. He released his Kirlia, while Ghastly floated eagerly by his side. Ghastly, use Hypnosis. Kirlia, use Psychic. Both Pokemon launched their moves simultaneously. The grunts, caught off guard, crumpled to the ground like bowling pins before they could even summon their own Pokemon. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Kai and Sabrina pressed on, heading for the upper floors, top floor of the Silphco building. President's office. As the leader of Team Rocket, Giovanni stood in the grand office, exuding an aura of authority. Dressed in his signature black suit with impeccably combed hair, his piercing gaze was fixed on an elderly man seated on the sofa. Despite being in his 70s, the man radiated resilience. Even under the current circumstances, his expression remained calm, betraying no hint of fear or panic. "Old man," Giovanni said, his voice deep and commanding, "for the sake of your employees' safety, tell me where you've hidden the Master Ball." The old man's tone was steady as he replied, "You'd best abandon that idea. Such a dangerous device will never fall into your hands." He paused before continuing with a wry smile. "I must admit, though, I'm surprised. The infamous leader of Team Rocket, personally leading an operation to seize my company, quite bold of you." Giovanni remained unmoved by the sarcasm. His focus was absolute. After a thorough search of the building had turned up no Master Ball, this man was his last hope. A Team Rocket grunt approached Giovanni, whispering something in his ear. "Intruders!" Giovanni's sharp eyes narrowed. "And you're only telling me this now." The grunt paled, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. "They broke into the control room first, sir, knocked out our personnel, and destroyed the surveillance equipment. That's why." Giovanni's plans, meticulously crafted, now faced an unexpected disruption. Who are they? There are 2 intruders, sir, the grunt stammered. One is confirmed to be Sabrina, the Saffron City gym leader. The other is a male, roughly her age, but we haven't been able to identify him yet. Sabrina? A flicker of irritation crossed Giovanni's face. As a gym leader officially recognized by the Pokémon League, Sabrina's involvement was a serious threat. Worse, her psychic abilities could uncover Giovanni's secret role as Team Rocket's leader, a revelation that could jeopardize everything. He turned his attention to one of the Rocket executives leaning casually against the wall. Archer, Giovanni ordered coldly, take care of this. Make sure they don't leave this building alive. The man, dressed in Team Rocket's standard black uniform and sporting long blue hair, straightened with a sly smile. As you wish, boss. This won't take long. Kai and Sabrina finally reached the top floor, gasping for air. As they caught their breath, the sound of helicopter blades sliced through the air. Looking out the window, they spotted a helicopter lifting off from the rooftop and disappearing into the distance. After barricading the stairwell door, they turned to survey the room. The sound of clapping broke the silence. Stepping forward, Archer applauded mockingly. I must admit, you two are impressive. Getting this far through our defenses, not bad at all. Behind him, a squad of Team Rocket grunts stood ready. At the same time, the stairwell door rattled violently as the grunts they'd outrun finally caught up, smashing it open. The corridor was now teeming with enemies, leaving Kai and Sabrina surrounded. But your good luck ends here. As Archer's words echoed, all the Team Rocket members released their Pokémon one after another, quickly filling the corridor. Kai and Sabrina stood back to back, pressed tightly together, and ready for action. What do we do now? Should we try to escape? Sabrina asked softly. Escape? Absolutely not. Kai shook his head firmly. He reached for a Pokeball at his waist and threw it into the air. We've come this far. How could we give up now? With a flash of red light, a magnificent Pokemon with a nearly 3-meter wingspan, a golden body, and arcs of electricity crackling across its form appeared before everyone. It's Zapdos? Wow, this is my first time seeing one. Team Rocket members cried out in shock. Even Sabrina couldn't help but glance at Zapdos in awe. Legendary Pokemon, like Zapdos, are extraordinarily rare, so rare that most people will never encounter one in their lifetime, let alone capture or battle alongside it. Don't panic! Archer's voice cut through the commotion as he tried to rally his subordinates. Even if he has a Zapdos, it doesn't matter. Attack together. Kai raised his voice as well. Zapdos! Use Thunderbolt! Zapdos initially hesitated, clearly reluctant to follow Kai's command. But with attacks coming at it from all directions, it roared in frustration and unleashed its power in self-defense. Crack! A blinding surge of lightning erupted from Zapdos. Radiating outward, the corridor was filled with crackling energy as the Thunderbolt not only canceled out the enemy attacks, but spread across the hall, overwhelming everything in its path. As the electricity surged, Krylia teleported herself, Kai, and Sabrina to safety on the other side of the corridor, just before the attack consumed their position. The intense brightness and crackling energy made it difficult to see, but the screams and groans of Team Rocket members echoed clearly. When the light finally dimmed, the corridor was littered with fallen Rocket members and their Pokémon. Damn it, Archer growled as he glared at Kai. Standing further back, Archer had avoided the worst of the blast. He gritted his teeth and released more Pokémon, a swarm of Zubat and Weezing, much like those used by Lambda Petrol, another Team Rocket executive Kai had faced aboard the SS Anne. The sound of footsteps reverberated as more Rocket members rushed in from the stairs, positioning themselves behind Archer. Kai muttered with a sigh. This is getting tiresome. At that moment, Sabrina stepped forward, positioning herself between Kai and the advancing Rockets. Her posture was confident, her tone calm. Leave this to me, she said, her back to Kai. You go and do what you need to do. Kai hesitated but quickly realized there was no time for debate. Sabrina's abilities were formidable, there was no need to worry. Fine, Kai relented. I'll leave Zapdos and Ghastly to back you up. Be careful. Stop right there. Archer yelled, trying to pursue him. But Sabrina calmly released her own Pokémon, blocking his path. Kai burst into the office and found an old man slumped on a sofa. The room was eerily empty, with no one else present. Giovanni isn't here. Kai's thoughts raced, and he recalled the helicopter that had just departed. He quickly deduced the truth. No time to waste. Spotting the man's disheveled appearance and realizing he wasn't with Team Rocket, Kai rushed forward to help him. Are you all right? The man opened his eyes and sighed in relief upon seeing Kai. You police officers took long enough to get here. I'm not with the police, Kai admitted, shaking his head. I was sent here to investigate. What? The man's eyes widened in disbelief. You're not the police? How did you get in here? Kai gestured toward the corridor where faint sounds of chaos still lingered. The rockets outside isn't an issue anymore. Let's get out of here. As Kai helped the old man to his feet and prepared for Curlia to teleport them to safety, a sharp, mocking voice interrupted. I knew Archer was incompetent, but letting someone like you slip through. What a waste of the boss's trust. Kai turned abruptly toward the source of the voice. Standing in the corner was a woman with striking red hair and a white Team Rocket uniform. Her sudden appearance was so uncanny, it was as if she had materialized out of thin air. One more Team Rocket's Joker, it seems, Kai demanded. The woman smiled cruelly. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Ariana, one of Team Rocket's executives and a researcher. Unlike that fool outside, I'm here on more important business. Another executive? Kai muttered, sizing her up. Ariana continued, her tone sharp. I'm here to study the effects of sound waves on forced Pokémon evolution. I had hoped to examine the Master Ball as well, but this old man refuses to cooperate. Kai remained cautious. A researcher, huh? Shouldn't you stick to research rather than picking fights? How about letting us walk out of here and pretending we never met? Brianna's smile twisted. You're a cheeky one, but I'm afraid I can't let you leave. She reached for 2 Pokeballs and released her Pokemon, an Arbok, its coiled form exuding menace, and a Murkrow, its feathers dark as night, its hat-like crest lending it an air of sinister cunning. Kai didn't waste time with more words. He threw his own Pokeballs into the fray, releasing Ivysaur, Squirtle, Charmander, and Jolteon. The room crackled with tension, the air heavy with anticipation. A fierce battle was about to begin. Protecting the elderly man behind him, Kai acted swiftly, commanding, Everyone, let's go together. His Pokemon responded immediately, unleashing a flurry of colorful attacks. The array of moves streaked through the air, targeting the Murkrow and Arbok in a chaotic display of power. Ariana sneered, expertly directing her Pokemon to evade. Your way of battling is certainly unconventional, she mocked. Kai didn't rise to her taunt. This wasn't a typical trainer battle, so there was no point in discussing rules. However, Ariana's Pokemon were undeniably strong, and even under the assault of multiple opponents, they seized every opportunity to counterattack. Murkrow Wing Attack. Arbok. Use Acid. Unfazed, Kai opted for a direct clash. Charmander used Ember, Squirtle, Water Gun. The opposing moves collided mid-air, erupting in a deafening explosion. With his advantage in numbers, Kai pressed on. Jolteon used Thundershock. Ivysaur, Razor Leaf. The Murkrow and Arbok couldn't dodge in time. Both Pokemon were struck, letting out cries of pain. Tch! Ariana gritted her teeth, realizing she had underestimated both Kai and the number of Pokemon he commanded. Great. Cat capitalized on the momentum. Curlia used Psychic to hold them down. As Curlia's psychic power immobilized the enemy Pokemon, Kai's team found their mark, combining their attacks in a coordinated strike. The successive hits overwhelmed Ariana's team, leaving her with no choice but to issue a reluctant command. Damn it! Retreat! Recalling her Arbok into its Pokeball, Ariana made a break for the shattered office windows. Without hesitation, she leapt from the skyscraper. Kai's heart raced as he caught a glimpse of movement. A shadow zipped past Murkrow, darting through the air to catch Ariana's arm, whisking her away from the Silphco building. With Ariana's departure confirmed, Kai exhaled deeply. Surveying the wreckage around him, he turned to the elderly man. I'm sorry for the state of your office. The man gave a reassuring smile. Don't worry about it. Compared to protecting lives, this damage is trivial. What neither of them expected was that Athena's retreat would trigger a chain reaction. The sound of fighting in the corridors had ceased. No voices from Team Rocket could be heard anymore. When Kai opened the office door, he found himself face to face with Sabrina. Are you alright? Kai asked, glancing past her to ensure there were no lingering threats. I'm fine, Sabrina replied, shaking her head. It's strange. They suddenly retreated. The once bustling corridor now lay eerily quiet. Even the unconscious Team Rocket grunts had been taken away. Perhaps their plans fell apart when they failed to capture the president, Kai speculated. He began recalling his Pokemon, leaving only Curlia and Ghastly out. The elderly man, watching Kai closely, nodded thoughtfully. Turning to Kai, he spoke with sincerity. I can't thank you enough. Without your intervention, not only would this company have been destroyed, but the world itself might have faced disaster. His words weren't an exaggeration. If the Master Ball were to fall into Team Rocket's hands and be mass-produced, the resulting ecological imbalance could have dire consequences. We only did what we could, Kai replied modestly. He then addressed Sabrina. There are researchers still locked up elsewhere. We should alert the authorities and let them handle the situation. Sabrina nodded, heading downstairs to contact the police. Meanwhile, Kai sent Ghastly to scout for any lingering dangers. Once everything was secure, the elderly man invited Kai back into the office. I don't believe I haven't introduced myself, the man said. My name is Mr. Sylph, president of this company. Kai smiled politely. It's an honor to meet you, Mr. Sylph. I'm Kai, a Pokémon trainer. Gesturing for Kai to sit, Mr. Sylph studied him for a moment before walking to a hidden panel in the wall. Activating a switch, he revealed a high-tech safe. After entering his fingerprint, he retrieved a unique Pokeball from inside. The ball's upper half was a vibrant purple with 2 pink semicircles resembling eyes, while a bold M adorned its center. As a token of my gratitude, I'd like you to have this Master Ball, Mr. Sylph said solemnly. Kai hesitated. Mr. Sylph shook his head. Please, take it. The chaos this project has caused already worries me. If it were ever completed, the consequences could be catastrophic. Kai considered his words before finally accepting the Master Ball with both hands. Thank you. I'll make sure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. When Sabrina returned, Kai decided it was best to leave quietly before the authorities arrived. The Master Ball and his Zapdos were not things he wanted to draw attention to. After bidding farewell to Mr. Sylph, Kai and Sabrina exited the building. The setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and red, a stark contrast to the intensity of the past few hours. Well, Sabrina said, breaking the silence, my task here is done. I should return to the Saffron Gym. Kai turned to her, his gratitude evident but unspoken. Extending his hand, he said, I hope we meet again. Sabrina shook his hand, her expression softening. Something tells me we will. At the Pokémon Center in Saffron City, Kai was having dinner while speaking on the phone with Looker. During their conversation, Looker praised him enthusiastically. You're incredible. I only asked you to check the situation, but you managed to handle the entire ordeal. Handled, Kai said, taking a large sip of juice. Not really. Team Rocket held their ground for quite a while. If their leader hadn't left early, causing disarray, they might have succeeded. In the end, they chose to retreat wisely. No casualties on either side, though. Don't sweat the details. Looker's tone remained upbeat. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't have completed the task as effectively as you did. How about considering a position with Interpol? I see great potential in you. No thanks, Kai replied bluntly, leaning back in his chair. My goal is to become a champion. I'd rather not spend my days chasing after criminals. Then he added, how's the situation on your end? Have you located Team Rocket's base yet? Not yet, Looker admitted. Celadon City is huge, and every lead we've had so far has turned into a dead end. By the way, your next destination is Celadon City, right? When you get here, I'll treat you to a meal as thanks. Sure, I'll let you know when I arrive. Even as he spoke, Kai's thoughts drifted elsewhere. Team Rocket's base? He hesitated to say anything further. Having too much foresight wasn't always a good thing. If he said the wrong thing, it might raise suspicions or lead to misunderstandings. After resting overnight in Saffron City, Kai set out the next morning for his next gym challenge. According to his map, Celadon City was the nearest gym location. He hadn't contacted Misty recently, so he wasn't sure if Ash had already earned his 5th badge. The journey wasn't far, but it still took until noon to cover half the distance. Along the way, Kai passed through scenic plains and lush forests. A gentle breeze carried swarms of Butterfree across the sky, creating a mesmerizing sight. Kai took a photo of the rare scene and was about to find a place to rest when a red convertible zoomed past him, only to screech to a halt and reverse back. As the dust settled, Kai turned to see 5 people seated in the car. Among them, a handsome young man with reddish-brown hair sat in the passenger seat. The others, including the driver, were all beautiful young women. The boy adjusted his large sunglasses and studied Kai carefully before saying, I remember you. When you delivered something to Professor Oak's lab, I saw you from a distance. The boy was none other than Gary Oak, the grandson of Professor Oak and Ash's first rival. You're Gary, right? Kai asked, knowingly. Ash mentioned you a few days ago. He said you've been his childhood friend and his greatest rival. Did he? Gary said dismissively. Ash sure knows how to talk. By the way, judging by your Pokémon, you must be the trainer from Viridian Forest who taught that rookie a lesson, huh? Kai chuckled, recalling the incident. That's me, why? Did he tell you about it? Oh, he did, Gary replied with a pout. Thanks to you, I got ambushed by him the moment I entered the forest. He also claimed you're a powerful trainer. I wonder if that's true. It depends on who you're comparing me to, Kai replied nonchalantly. I haven't lost a single battle during my journey so far. Big deal, Gary retorted. I haven't lost either. Unsure whether Kai was boasting or genuinely strong, Gary asked, how many badges do you have then? 4, Kai answered, but I'm on my way to Celadon City to challenge the gym leader for my 5th badge. Only 4? That's pretty slow. You're about on par with Ash, Gary said arrogantly. I've already collected 7 badges. I'm heading to Viridian City next for the 8th. Gary's tone was undeniably smug, but Kai didn't let it bother him. He's just starting his journey. With his lofty attitude and lack of setbacks, he's bound to underestimate others. Thinking of this, Kai retrieved a Pokeball and spun it on his finger. How about it? Wanna battle me? Battle? Gary shrugged. Sorry, I don't have time for that. If you're so eager, make it to the Indigo Plateau and face me at the Pokémon League. With a wave, Gary signaled for the car to speed off, leaving Kai in the dust. At that moment, Ghastly floated out of Kai's shadow, chuckling. Seems like we were underestimated. Kai shook his head, watching the car disappear into the distance. A red convertible and a car full of admirers must be nice. Pushing those thoughts aside, Kai set down hhis backpack and asked Corellia to gather firewood for cooking. He released his other Pokémon, except for Zapdos and Magikarp, to help. Squirtle fetched water from a nearby river, Charmander lit the firewood, and Ivysaur led the others to gather berries from the forest. Everything was carried out with practiced efficiency. Once everyone had eaten their fill, Kai took out Magikarp's Pokeball and released it into the river. The Pokémon swam about joyfully in the cool water. Studying it closely, Kai sighed. I got scammed by that salesman. This was clearly a male Magikarp. How could it possibly lay eggs? Even more puzzling was the lack of evolution. Considering how long it had been with him, Magikarp should have evolved into Gyarados by now. Yet, it showed no signs of doing so. Ghastly, Kai called, glancing at his companion. Any ideas on how to get it to evolve? Ghastly cackled mischievously. Evolve? You're seriously struggling with something as simple as that? What do you mean by that? Kai was taken aback. I mean, if you want to evolve, you can do it anytime, anywhere. Dasty spoke. Its body was suddenly surrounded by a bright light. When the light faded, a new Pokémon appeared before Kai. Kai was stunned. Without any warning, Ghastly had evolved into a Haunter. Compared to its previous form, Haunter's rounded body had transformed significantly. The purple mist that once surrounded Ghastly was gone, replaced by 3 jagged, spike-like protrusions on each side. 2 disembodied claws floated in midair, no longer attached to its body. Wait, you just evolved like that? How did you do it? Kai asked, his mouth hanging open. What's the big deal? Haunter replied casually, flexing its floating claws and testing their movement. I could evolve further right now if I wanted to. Stop! Kai interrupted quickly. Evolving too fast isn't a good thing. You should get used to this new body first. Kai then turned his attention back to the Magikarp. That said, even though I'm thrilled you evolved, the issue with Magikarp isn't resolved yet. Hey Haunter, see if you can communicate with it. Me? Talk to that? Haunter's face twisted in disbelief. Nevertheless, it floated over to Magikarp. Staring intently, its mouth moved as if speaking, but after a while, it returned, shaking its head. Nope, that thing's brain seems completely empty. I can't figure out what it's thinking at all. Kai frowned, but said nothing. Sensing Kai's frustration, Haunter tried to analyze the situation. Look, if it's close to evolving but stuck at the critical point, it's probably missing some experience or a trigger. A battle should do the trick. That ought to give it the push it needs. Experience? A trigger? Kai's eyes lit up as inspiration struck him. Seeing Kai's expression, Haunter looked surprised. Wait, you're not serious. Are you going to make it a battle? That thing can't do anything but splash. It'll just get beaten up and it's too dumb for a battle. Don't worry about that, Kai said confidently. I've got an idea. Everyone spread out and see if you can find a wild Pokémon nearby. They were near a river bend with a small forest not far away. Kai's Pokémon began searching, and soon Kirlia found a bug-type Pokemon Weedle, resting on a tree trunk. Kirlia let out a soft cry, and when Kai arrived, he examined the Weedle and nodded in satisfaction.
A Weedle?
Perfect. Everyone, surround it. Don't let it escape. Though puzzled, the Pokemon obeyed, encircling the Weedle and cutting off its escape routes. Once everything was in place, Kai gave Charmander an order. Charmander, use Ember. Charmander approached quietly, inhaled deeply, and unleashed a burst of embers at the unsuspecting Weedle. The flames engulfed it instantly. It's super effective.
Magikarp, now it's your turn.
Kai declared, picking up the flopping fish. Holding it high, he shouted, "Let's show Weedle our combo move, Flopping Smash." Kai swung Magikarp downward with all his might, slamming it into Weedle. A loud thud echoed as the two Pokemon collided. Weedle was shaken, but not yet defeated. Kai raised an eyebrow. Still standing? You're tougher than you look. But that's fine. Magikarp, let's do it again. This time, the impact was too much for Weedle, who fainted. At the same time, Magikarp began to glow brilliantly. Yes, it's happening, Kai exclaimed. With a triumphant roar, Magikarp evolved into a Gyarados. Kai quickly checked the Pokédex. Pokédex, Gyarados, the atrocious Pokémon, water and flying type, the evolved form of Magikarp. Gyarados has an extremely violent temperament. Its steel-like scales and razor-sharp teeth can crush rocks. When enraged, it causes devastation, burning everything in its path, even during a storm. The newly evolved Pokemon stood over 6 meters long, its back a fierce red with a light yellow underbelly. A 3-spiked crest adorned its head, and 2 long whiskers framed its face. Its massive mouth and glaring eyes radiated perpetual fury. Gee! Despite the successful evolution, Gyarados didn't seem calm. It roared and thrashed wildly, launching an indiscriminate attack on its surroundings. "Hey, what's wrong with this guy's head?" Haunter exclaimed, flying out of Gyarados' rampaging path. "Did you break it by throwing it?" "Idiot, don't spout nonsense," Kai yelled, retreating to a safe distance. "Didn't you hear the Pokédex? It's just naturally aggressive. It's a Pokemon version of Broly." "Now who the fuck is Broly? Then what do we do now?" Haunter asked. "Wait for it to calm down?" "Of course not. We worked hard to evolve it. No way. We're giving up now." Kai waved a hand forward. "Okay, everyone. Show this disobedient Gyarados who's boss. If it attacks its trainer and friends, it's time for some discipline. Let's start our gangbang." Kai's Pokemon attacked the Gyarados, relentlessly. With Jolteon's final Thunderbolt, a move that dealt quadruple damage due to Gyarados' water and flying types, the mighty Pokemon couldn't endure anymore. It collapsed heavily onto the ground. "You should calm down now," Kai remarked. It is said that the reason Gyarados becomes so aggressive lies in its evolution process. The restructuring of its brain cells during transformation drastically alters its personality. However, a Gyarados will only truly settle down after building trust with or recognizing its trainer. Recalling advice he'd heard before that touching a Gyarados' horns can help calm it, Kai approached cautiously. With his right hand, he stroked its rigid horns. Sure enough, Gyarados' eyes gradually softened, shifting from resistance to acceptance. After taking a brief rest to recover his strength, Kai reorganized his backpack and set off towards Celadon City once more. However, unbeknownst to him, a conspiracy was already unfolding in a hidden chamber beneath the Viridian City gym. In the dimly lit room, Giovanni sat on a plush leather sofa. A Persian with gleaming ruby-like eyes rested elegantly at his feet. There was a knock at the door, and a woman with a bob haircut and glasses stepped inside. Giovanni glanced at her indifferently. "Mattori, have you completed the investigation?" Mattori handed him a dossier. A blurred photo of Kai was visible in the top right corner. "The investigation is complete," she replied, her tone professional. "This trainer's name is Kai. He's 20 years old and arrived in Kanto from the Kalos region about 2 weeks ago. During this time, he's been challenging gyms across the region. According to Lambda's confirmation, he interfered with our plans during the Sesan incident, and again during the Sylph Co. operation. He has already hindered us twice." Giovanni flipped through the document, scanning the information about Kai's Pokemon team, which included Jolteon and Ghastly. "Where is he now?" Giovanni asked. Based on his recent movements, his next destination appears to be the Celadon Gym, Motori responded while adjusting her glasses.
Celadon City.
Giovanni frowned slightly. Isn't Interpol investigating our operations there? Motori nodded. Yes, he's been lingering in Celadon for several days. Though we've managed to avoid direct confrontations, it seems he hasn't given up his search. We can't allow him to interfere any longer. Send someone to eliminate him. Giovanni's tone was cold and dismissive, as if he were ordering the swatting of a fly. Which agents are stationed near Celadon City? Motori hesitated. Aside from the base's security forces, many of our top operatives have been dispatched to Juto, and the rest are spread thin across other regions. Only Jesse and James remain in the vicinity. Then send them, Giovanni decided. But noticing Motori's hesitation, he raised an eyebrow. What is it? Is there a problem? Well, Motori hesitated briefly before speaking. With all due respect, their competence isn't exactly reliable. Perhaps my elite team, the Motori Matrix, would be better suited for this task. It's fine, Giovanni said dismissively, lighting a cigar. Even if they fail to eliminate him, they can at least buy us some time. Use this opportunity to clear out Interpol's presence in Celadon City. Celadon City, the second largest metropolis in Kanto, after Saffron City, sparkled like a dream in the hues of a rainbow. Known for its prestigious university and sprawling shopping malls, the city also boasted the famous Celadon Game Corner. As Kai walked down the street leading to the Celadon Gym, a peculiar fragrance caught his attention. It was a blend of various perfumes carried gently on the breeze, saturating the entire street. Looking ahead, Kai noticed a large perfume shop nestled between several buildings. Intrigued, he decided to check it out. Welcome, chimed several stylishly dressed shop assistants near the counter. They were chatting casually but turned their attention to him with warm smiles. Are you here to buy perfume? One of them asked. Kai nodded, scanning the array of bottles, but feeling a bit overwhelmed. He wasn't sure where to begin. A younger assistant approached him, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Is it for your girlfriend? Kai shook his head. No, I don't have a girlfriend. I'm just looking for a few bottles to gift to some friends. Friends? The assistant teased, clearly amused. Sounds suspicious. Are you sure you're not juggling multiple girlfriends? Kai became annoyed. Enough joking around came a soft yet authoritative voice from behind. The assistants immediately straightened up as a young woman in a kimono with shoulder-length hair and a red headband approached gracefully. Manager Erica, one of the assistants exclaimed in surprise. Erica smiled politely. Please sort the new perfume deliveries in the back. I'll handle this customer. With a respectful bow to Kai, Erica said, I apologize for their behavior. They're used to teasing customers playfully. I hope you weren't offended. Not at all, Kai replied, shaking his head. He had already recognized Erica as the Celadon gym leader. What kind of perfume are you looking for? Erica asked. Finally, he mentioned Professor Cerise's daughter, Chloe, who had helped him greatly and requested a recommendation for her as well. I see, Erica said. With a nod, she walked to a specific section of the shelf. Our shop carries a variety of excellent perfumes. Based on your descriptions, I recommend these. She pointed to 4 perfumes at the center of the display. These floral scents are our signature blends. The 2 on the left one is perfect for lively personalities, and the other for quieter ones. The 2 on the right have a subtler but longer-lasting fragrance, suitable for refined tastes. Kai didn't know much about perfume, but he figured that listening to the advice of professionals would be a safe bet. At that moment, Erica pulled out a trial-sized bottle of perfume she had selected for Sabrina. Rolling up her sleeve, she sprayed a little onto her wrist. Here, smell this. Isn't it lovely? Kai glanced at her pale, smooth arm before leaning in slightly to catch the scent. Sure enough, the fragrance was delightful and delicate, yet not overpowering. Mixed with the perfume was a youthful, feminine scent that made his heart beat just a little faster. This fragrance was distinct from Sabrina's, subtly highlighting the differences in personality between the 2 women. Erica smiled warmly. This perfume is exclusive to our shop. It's a unique blend you won't find anywhere else. Clearing his throat, Kai replied. All right, I'll take these 4. Please wrap them up for me. After paying for the perfumes, Kai bid a farewell and exited the shop. He attempted to contact the looker guy, but his call didn't go through. That's strange, Kai muttered. Didn't he say he'd meet me once I got to Celadon City? Still, considering the man's enigmatic nature, Kai shrugged it off. He's probably on some kind of mission. Since Erica was busy at the perfume shop, it was clear she wasn't available for a gym battle. Kai decided there was no point in heading to the gym just yet. After a moment of thought, he turned and walked toward Celadon Game Corner. Might as well pass the time. Located in the southeast part of the city, the Game Corner was far grander in person than it appeared in the games. It wasn't just an arcade, there were hotels, restaurants, a movie theater, and even dance halls. Inside the bustling Game Corner, Kai observed the lively crowd. Young groups and middle-aged visitors mingled among claw machines, arcade games, slot machines, dance platforms, and even pachinko machines. The atmosphere was vibrant. Kai purchased a handful of game coins from the counter. Just as he was heading to a claw machine, something at a nearby stall caught his eye. The stall owner, a middle-aged man, was selling an array of Pokémon-themed masks. "Boss, how much for that Gengar mask?" Kai asked, pointing to one in particular. The mask's upper half resembled Gengar's mischievous, dark purple face, covering most of the wearer's face, while the lower section was cut away to expose the mouth. "You've got good taste," the stall owner said with a grin. "This mask is one of my best, sturdy, with glass eyes that won't obstruct your view. Usually it's 300 Poké-Dollars, but today's special price is just 250. Guy frowned. "That's still pretty steep. How about 100 Poké-Dollars? The stall owner feigned shock. "Are you joking? 250 is already a bargain." Kai smirked and walked away without another word. As expected, the man quickly called him back. Asian bargaining skills. All right. Since it seems like fate brought you here, how about 150 Poké-Dollars? Kai suppressed a chuckle. This tactic always worked. Without hesitation, he pulled out a single 100 Poké-Dollar bill. The stall owner sighed theatrically, but handed over the mask in exchange. The transaction was so fast that Kai briefly wondered if even 100 Poké-Dollars was too much. Tucking the Gengar mask securely into his bag, he returned to the claw machine. After a few tries, he managed to snag 2 plush toys. As he prepared to leave the game corner, he became aware of several eyes watching him from the shadows. Hidden in a nearby phone booth, Jesse, James, and Meowth were whispering among themselves. "Are we really gonna go after him?" James asked nervously. "He helped us escape from the underwater base last time. Isn't it wrong to go after him now?" Jessie crossed her arms. "Don't be ridiculous. We're bad guys, remember? The boss gave us direct orders to deal with him." "But the game corner's near our secret base," James protested. "Isn't it risky to act here?" Jessie rolled her eyes. "Obviously, we wait until he leaves. Then we'll strike." As Team Rocket schemed, Kai received a message on his phone. It was from the looker guy, containing nothing but a location pin. "What's this about? Is this where we're supposed to meet?" Kai decided to investigate, but remained cautious. The coordinates led him to a cluster of warehouses near the freight train station on the city's outskirts. The area was eerily quiet, with only the occasional passing train breaking the silence. "Hunter, scout the area. Curlia, stay alert," Kai instructed, donning the Gengar mask he had purchased earlier. It hadn't been long since he bought the mask, but it was already proving useful. After a brief search, Honda returned, shaking its head. "No ambushes, but there's someone seriously injured in that warehouse ahead," it reported telepathically. Kai's heart skipped a beat. Seriously injured person? Following Hunter's guidance, Kai arrived at the warehouse. The large iron doors were ajar, one hanging crookedly on its hinges. A dark red trail of blood stretched from the entrance into the shadows beyond. The sharp, metallic scent of blood filled the air, warning of something grim ahead. Kai walked into the warehouse. Behind a stack of cargo boxes at the far end, he saw a man sprawled on the ground, his appearance haggard yet unmistakably handsome. At the moment, Looker looked to be in terrible shape. He was gravely injured, with his abdomen wrapped in bandages that were soaked with fresh blood, staining his suit crimson. Upon seeing the mask on Kai's face, Looker initially flinched, but quickly relaxed after spotting the Curlia beside him. A faint, weary smile appeared on his pale lips. "You finally came," ahem, he rasped weakly. Without hesitation, Kai retrieved a spray bottle of potion from his bag and applied it to the man's wounds. As a prepared trainer, Kai always carried essentials like potions, antidotes, burn heals, and even pain relievers in his backpack ready for emergencies like this. "How did you end up so badly hurt?" Kai asked, ignoring the blood staining his hands as he grabbed fresh bandages and rewrapped the man's abdomen. It was his first time dealing with so much blood, but he kept his composure. The metallic smell and sight of gore were overwhelming, but he stayed focused until the bandaging was complete. I was ambushed, caught off guard, Looker muttered, his lips pale as he released 2 Pokeballs. My Pokemon, they're injured too. I'm counting on you. The Toxicroak and Growlithe emerged, both in dire condition. Their bodies were battered, and the Growlithe showed signs of poisoning. Kai quickly grabbed an antidote and gently treated the Growlithe before tending to their wounds. Afterwards, he returned them to their Pokeballs. Although these basic treatments would stabilize their conditions, they would still need professional care at a Pokemon Center for full recovery. At least inside their Pokeballs, the Pokemon could rest and avoid further harm. Kai handed the man a water bottle, helping him take a few sips. Seeing some color return to his face, Kai asked, "Who did this? Team Rocket?" "Who else?" Looker replied bitterly. But this time, it wasn't just grunts. "I was targeted by the Rocket Elite Unit, the Real Bird Division. They're exceptionally dangerous. It took everything I had just to escape." Real Bird Division. Kai frowned. The name sounded vaguely familiar, but he couldn't recall specific details. "I'll take you to a Pokemon Center," Kai offered. "No." Looker protested, his voice weak but firm. "The Rockets are everywhere in this city. They'll spot me the moment I step outside. Their spies are even in the police force. No, I can't risk it." "Then what's your plan?" Kai pressed. Looker glanced toward the back of the warehouse. "There's a freight train station nearby. I timed it earlier. There's a train every 10 minutes. I'll hop on one and get out of the city." Kai hesitated, but finally nodded. "It's risky, but if you're set on this, let's move. Just try to stay out of sight." Kai helped Looker to stand on his feet, but as they approached the warehouse exit, laughter echoed through the air. "Oh, ho, ho, ho. Finally caught up with you," a woman's voice cackled. 2 figures leapt through a window. Jesse and James of Team Rocket. "Jesse," Kai tensed, recognizing them. "Why aren't you pestering Ash for once?" "Orders from the boss," Jesse sneered. "This time we're here to take you down. Go Arbok." She hurled her Pokeball, releasing the massive serpent. James reluctantly followed her lead. "Fine, go easy." Looker, still leaning on Kai for support, sighed. "Even they're after you now, Team Rocket doesn't let up." Kai didn't respond. Instead, he threw 2 Pokeballs of his own. Charmander, Squirtle handled them. The small fire and water types sprang into action, countering Arbok and Weezing's attacks with Ember and Water Gun. Meanwhile, Kai focused on getting the injured man out through the back door. "You're not getting away." Meowth jumped out from nowhere, claws gleaming as it lunged at Kai. "Nice try," Jessie cheered, but her grin faded as Curlius stepped forward. A shimmering psychic barrier halted Meowth in midair and flung it backwards with tremendous force. The feline Pokemon smashed into a stack of crates with a loud crash. "Arbok, Weezing, don't just stand there and attack," Jessie shouted. Charmander and Squirtle quickly intercepted their moves, neutralizing the Rocket's Pokemon. Kai didn't wait. Supporting the injured man, he slipped out the back door and headed toward the railway tracks. Just as they thought they were safe, a missile streaked toward them with alarming speed. Kai had no time to react, but a sudden gust of wind enveloped them, lifting both him and the man to safety. Just as the missile exploded nearby, the freight station shook from the blast, debris scattering everywhere, but the mysterious wind shielded them. Well, well, you dodged that? Impressive." A deep voice echoed from above. Kai looked up to see 5 figures clad in black Rocket uniforms and berets standing on the roof. Their leader, a burly man with an eye patch, sneered. "Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Gozu, and we're the Real Bird Division, the Team Rocket Elite Unit. Now that we've caught you, your luck ends here." Kai narrowed his eyes, bracing himself. "What do you want from us?" Gozu smirked darkly. "Your lives. You're the Real Bird Division." Kai's voice betrayed his surprise as he turned to glance at the injured man beside him. Seeing the man's slight nod, Kai's expression hardened this situation. It had just become significantly more dangerous. "Looks like you are more interested in an introduction than in a fight," Kai muttered.
Gaozu smirked, folding his arms. "Fight? We're the bad guys. Our intro should be perfect. And completing the mission is all that matters." His eyes gleamed as he turned to the injured man.
"But I must admit, I didn't expect to find you hiding here. We were merely tracking those 2 buffoons, curious about their antics. But this buffoon gave us a surprise, and we stumble upon a bonus prize." "Buffoons!" Jessie's voice rang out indignantly as she and James stumbled out of the warehouse. looking worse for wear. Their hair was singed, their clothes drenched, and their Pokémon Arbok and Weezing were visibly battered. Behind them, Kirlia, Charmander, and Squirtle emerged, determined expressions on their faces as they pursued the fleeing Rocket duo. Jessie pointed an accusatory finger at Gozu. Hey, I know you. You're one of Motori's lackeys, aren't you? How dare you shadow us? Motori's lackeys? Gozu's face darkened. You've got guts to insult Ms. Motori like that. Gozu raised an eyebrow and smirked at Kai. His gaze lingered on Kai's mask for a moment before realization struck. Ah, so this is Kai. Excellent. With the two of them here together, we can eliminate both targets at once. Saves us the trouble of hunting them down separately. Excuse me. James looked appalled. You defy the boss's orders and steal our mission. You fool. Gozu reached for his Pokeball and threw it to the ground. As long as the mission is accomplished, the boss won't care who gets it done. Go, Aggron! A flash of light revealed a massive, armored Pokémon with sharp horns and a steel-plated tail. The Aggron roared, its voice shaking the ground. The other members of the Real Bird Division followed suit, releasing their Pokémon one after another. Out you come, Toxicroak. Go, Purugly. It's your turn, Skuntank. Show them your power, Rhyperior. The 5 Pokémon stepped forward, their menacing presence growing as they surrounded Kai and the injured man. Fight or flee? Kai made his decision in an instant. Without hesitation, he released all his Pokémon. Red light flashed as Jolteon and Gyarados joined Kirlia, Charmander, and Squirtle. Chior. The Gyarados let out a thunderous roar, its crimson eyes locking on to the Aggron with unrelenting intensity. Is that a Gyarados and a Zapdos? The injured man exclaimed, his voice filled with shock. Even Jessie and James froze, their jaws dropping at the sight of the legendary bird. Zapdos! They didn't say anything about this. Jessie wailed, Motori is the worst. James looked uncertain. What do we do now? We can't win against that. Jessie clenched her fists. We can't let those real bird clowns complete their mission. If they succeed, we'll be humiliated in front of the boss and Motori. So are we stopping them? James asked, confused. But if we interfere, won't the boss punish us? Don't be silly, Meowth interjected slyly. We're just following orders. Any collateral damage is purely accidental. Jessie and James exchanged glances before nodding in agreement. You're a genius, Meow, they exclaimed in unison, vanishing into the shadows. Meanwhile, the battle had begun. Gyarados lunged at Aggron, teeth bared, while Toxicroak squared off against Kirlia. Purugly darted toward Charmander with lightning speed. Skuntank targeted Jolteon, and Rhyperior took on both Squirtle and Kirlia at once. Scrake. Zapdos hovered above, its piercing cry echoing across the battlefield. However, the Real Bird Division's coordinated efforts had temporarily pinned the legendary Pokémon, preventing it from unleashing its full power. Kai assessed the chaotic scene, issuing orders with calm precision. Kirlia switched to Toxicroak. Squirtle, focus on Rhyperior with Kirlia's support. Jolteon disengages from Skuntank and goes after Purugly. Charmander, hold off Skuntank. The tactical adjustments quickly turned the tide. Each Pokemon's attributes were matched to counter the enemy effectively, creating a more balanced fight. Kai glanced at Gyarados and Aggron, whose battle had devolved into a brutal clash of raw power. Despite its intimidating size and strength, Gyarados was still newly evolved and inexperienced, struggling to keep up with Aggron's relentless attacks. Kai knew it was only a matter of time before Gyarados was overwhelmed without intervention. As the distant whistle of a train echoed through the air, Kai's eyes lit up. This was their chance. Haunter, it's your turn, he called. Emerging from Kai's shadow with a mischievous grin, Haunter flew toward the injured man, wrapping him in its spectral aura. The man's body lifted gently into the air, floating toward the approaching train. With Haunter's help, he landed safely in one of the freight cars. Gozu's eyes widened in alarm. Stop him. He's escaping. The Real Bird Division began to shift focus, abandoning their fight against Zapdos. But before they could act, a massive Meowth-shaped robot crashed onto the scene, blocking their path. What's this? Gozu snarled. From the robot's cockpit, Jessie's voice rang out triumphantly. This is our moment to shine. Prepare for trouble. And make it double, James added, their signature motto echoing across the battlefield. As the train began to pull away, Kai exhaled in relief. The injured man was safe for now, but the fight wasn't over yet. "Let's finish this," Kai muttered, turning his attention back to the fray. His eyes burned with a vengeance. "Who are you? How dare you block our way?" Gozu snapped angrily. "It's you who are in the way." Jesse's voice echoed from inside the Meowth robot. "We've got business with that kid, so if you're smart, step aside." As she spoke, the robot's upper body began to rotate. The two massive mechanical claws spun like bladed fans, generating a powerful hurricane. Kai, watching from nearby, couldn't help but give a wry thumbs up. Where do they even find this kind of tech so quickly? He thought. Damn it. The violent wind pressure blew the hats off the Matori Matrix team members. Delayed by the commotion, Gozu could only watch helplessly as the freight train sped past on the side rails. He shouted furiously, "How dare you interfere with our operation? I'll report this to the boss." "What nonsense are you spouting?" James glared down at Gozu from the cockpit's glass cover. "We're on a mission here. When did we ever mess up your operation?" Despite Gozu's mounting frustration, he realized arguing would be pointless. Instead, he turned his focus back to Kai, intent on targeting him directly. But when his eyes landed on Kai again, his expression shifted. After the intense battle, Kai's Pokémon were clearly struggling. "Squirtle, use water gun." Ivysaur hit it with Razor Leaf. Kai commanded firmly. Squirtle and Ivysaur opened the gap in the battle against Gozu's Rhyhorn, a rock and ground-type Pokémon. Their water and grass-type attacks dealt massive damage 4 times the usual amount. Despite Rhyhorn having evolved into its second stage, its bulky frame made it slow and vulnerable. After repeated attacks, it collapsed to the ground. Tease! One of the Matori Matrix members clicked their tongue and reluctantly returned Rhyhorn to its Pokeball. "Stay sharp, everyone." Gozu barked at his team. "He's just one guy. We can't afford to lose here." But even as he shouted encouragement, another Pokemon went down. Toxstroke, a poison and fighting type, was no match for Kirlia's psychic-type moves. It barely managed a few attacks before being overwhelmed and fainting. Although these defeats came quickly due to type disadvantages, the other 3 Pokemon were much tougher to deal with. First was Alolan Persian, though its normal typing didn't make it particularly special in terms of resistance. It had an impressive agility that belied its pudgy appearance. It darted around the battlefield so quickly that only Kai's Jolteon could keep up with it. The 2 Pokemon chased each other until they vanished somewhere beyond the skirmish. Then there was Skuntank, a poison and dark type Pokemon. Its dual typing made it resistant to most of Kai's team's moves, and its foul stench kept other Pokemon at bay. Finally, Gozu's Aggron took center stage. Despite being at a disadvantage against Gyarados, the Steel and Rock-type Pokemon managed to hold their ground and even started to gain the upper hand. Aggron, use Iron Tail. Gozu commanded. The massive Pokemon swung its tail, striking Gyarados hard on the head. The impact sent Gyarados crashing to the ground with a wail. Gozu smirked, ready to press the advantage, but at that moment, the Meowth robot lumbered into the fray. "Time for my stomp attack!" Meowth laughed sinisterly as he maneuvered the robot's legs to stomp heavily on the ground, causing tremors to ripple through the battlefield. The vibrations didn't just destabilize Gyarados, they also took a toll on Aggron, whose steel and rock typing left it vulnerable to such shock waves. Aggron toppled over with a groan. "You idiots, stop messing around." Gozu yelled, trying to halt the chaos, but the tremors knocked him off balance. "We're helping you," Jessie cackled, covering her mouth with feigned innocence. "You're welcome." "Perfect." Kai's eyes lit up as Aggron fell. Quickly recalling Gyarados, he called out to his other Pokemon. Ivysaur, Squirtle attack now. A concentrated blast of Water Gun and Razor Leaf rained down on Aggron, striking it while it was vulnerable. Meanwhile, the Meowth robot continued its rampage, turning its sights on Skuntank. Skuntank, primarily relying on close-quarters moves, found itself cornered. With Kirlia's support, Kai's Charmander managed to hold its ground, despite the intense pressure. "Skuntank, use Crunch!" A Matrix team member shouted. Skuntank lunged at Charmander with its jaws wide, but the Meowth robot stepped in at just the right moment. Unable to stop in time, Skuntank crashed headlong into the robot with a loud clang. The impact left Skuntank disoriented. Worse, its signature stench couldn't penetrate the robot's airtight cockpit. Hey, the Team Rocket trio grinned smugly. Finally, the Matrix team began to catch on. It was clear that Jessie, James, and Meowth weren't allies. They were undermining them at every turn. "Captain, what do we do?" One team member asked nervously. Retreat for now, Gozu growled, his eyes narrowing as he glared at Kai. This guy's stronger than Interpol. If we keep this up, we're finished. But what about those 3 clowns? Another member protested, gesturing at the Meowth robot in disgust. We'll deal with them later. Gozu snapped. We'll report to Ms. Motori. Let the boss handle their punishment. Understood? The team recalled their remaining Pokémon and retreated into the shadows. Finally, Jessie sighed in relief as the Matrix team disappeared. Turning her gaze back to Kai, she smirked. No more distractions. Now we can finally show you how powerful we really are. The Meowth robot stomped forward, charging directly at Kai with heavy strides. Facing the menacing Team Rocket trio, Kai waved his hand lightly. In the next moment, his Pokémon concentrated all their energy and launched a chaotic barrage of moves toward the Meowth-shaped robot in unison. Caught in the relentless attack, the warning lights in the robot's cockpit began flashing wildly before exploding. The steel shell, unable to withstand the assault, gave way. After a violent blast, Jessie, James, and Meowth were thrown into the rubble, unable to escape in time. Blinking in shock as they looked around, they found themselves surrounded by countless pairs of hostile eyes. The trio forced an awkward smile, their earlier arrogance completely deflated. Their dreams had been lofty, but reality was harshly unforgiving. Before they could utter a word, a sudden gust of wind swept them into the air. Their forms grew smaller and smaller until they disappeared into the clouds. Team Rocket's blasting off in defeat. Again! Finally, it was over. Kai breathed a sigh of relief and surveyed the area. The devastation was immense. Containers were smashed, and buildings lay in ruins as if a hurricane had torn through. His Pokémon bore injuries of varying severity. Kai recalled Zapdos first, then prepared to return the others to their Pokeballs. Just as he reached for Squirtle, a burst of white light enveloped it. Squirtle had accumulated enough experience in the battle, and was evolving. Moments later, a newly evolved Wartortle stood before Kai. Its appearance had changed slightly. Fangs now protruded from its mouth. Furry ears resembling small wings adorned its head, and its tail had taken on the shape of a crashing wave. Before Kai could dwell on this, a group of guards arrived from the distance, confirming that his mask was still secure. He quickly recalled his Pokémon and left without looking back. That evening, Kai arrived at the Pokémon Center. He handed his team over to Nurse Joy for treatment, then settled into a corner and pulled out his phone. A message from Looker sent half an hour earlier was waiting. Looker, I've arrived in Saffron City. How are things on your end? Kai, I made it back safely to the Pokémon Center. I managed to repel Team Rocket for now, but I'm not sure if they'll come after me again. Looker, that's incredible. To take on such overwhelming odds and win, you're truly impressive. Are you sure you won't reconsider joining the International Police? Okay, thanks, but no. I don't want to go through something like that again. How's your injury? Looker, I'm in the hospital now. The doctor stitched me up, and I'm stable, but I need to rest for a while. I owe you big time. The doctor said if it weren't for the timely treatment, I might not have made it. Kai paused, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. After some thought, he replied, revealing the location of a hidden Team Rocket base beneath the game corner in Celadon City. If Team Rocket had already targeted him, this was his way of hitting back. The base had been operational for years. Exposing it would be a devastating blow. No sooner had Kai sent the message than Looker called him, his voice full of shock. Are you sure the base is really there? Is your intel reliable? Though they weren't face to face, Kai could picture Looker's astonishment just from his tone. In the background, a nurse's voice could be heard, urging him to calm down. Sir, please don't get so worked up. Your wound might reopen. Once Looker processed the information, Kai added, I'm fairly certain, but you'll need to send someone to verify the exact entrance method. After a long pause, Looker said with admiration, We've spent years investigating, and you uncovered this in half a day. Incredible. I'll report this immediately. Kai shook his head. Don't give me too much credit. I just had some foresight, that's all. Wait, Kai continued. There's something else I need to tell you, but you have to promise not to overreact. Nothing could surprise me more than discovering a hidden Team Rocket base. Looker replied confidently. Seeing his calm demeanor, Kai dropped a bombshell. Giovanni, the Viridian gym leader, is Team Rocket's boss? What? Looker's voice boomed through the phone, drawing the attention of everyone in the Pokémon Center, including Nurse Joy. Kai winced as his ears rang. Amid the chaos, the nurse exclaimed, "Sir, your wound has reopened. Stay still while I get the doctor." After a flurry of footsteps and hushed urgency, Looker, now gasping, spoke again. "Giovanni, the Viridian gym leader." "Are you certain?" Kai confirmed it with a hymn. The revelation left Looker speechless. Though shocking, the more he thought about Giovanni's personality, the more it all made sense. "This changes everything. I need to report this directly to headquarters." After hanging up, Kai spent the night at the Pokémon Center. Contrary to his expectations, Team Rocket made no further attempts to retaliate. The next morning, as he prepared to challenge the Celadon Gym, Looker called again. This time his tone was grave. The Interpol decided to investigate and raid the Team Rocket base. As for Giovanni's identity, it's too sensitive to act on immediately. Verification will take time, but for now, you need to leave the city. It's not safe for you there. "Don't worry," Kai said solemnly. "After I challenge the Celadon Gym, I'll leave immediately. I believe in your strength, so I wish you success in the challenge," Looker said. Then with a shifting tone, he added, "But I need to let you know something. At the base, a special operations team is being formed as a vanguard. You may be invited to join." Me? Kai was momentarily stunned, but quickly agreed. "Of course, I'd be glad to help. Since Team Rocket already sees me as a target, I can't just stand by and do nothing. But who else will be part of this special operations team?" "Well," Looker thought for a moment, "only the best. We'll do our best to invite members of the Elite Four, and also reach out to exceptional gym leaders from the Pokémon League." Kai nodded thoughtfully. If that's the case, the team might just be able to infiltrate and disrupt Team Rocket's base effectively. After hanging up the phone, Kai followed the main road to the Celadon Gym. The gym's design resembled a school sports facility. Its roof was earthy yellow, and the walls were silver gray. It stood in the middle of a sprawling garden in the city center. As Celadon, city's official Pokémon gym, its leader, Erika, specializes in grass-type Pokémon. Trainers who manage to defeat her earn the Rainbow Badge. Inside, the gym had a spacious hall where several women dressed casually in shorts were working. One of them, a blue-haired girl, approached Kai. "Excuse me. Can I help you?" Kai explained that he was there to challenge the gym leader. The girl nodded and led him deeper into the gym. As they passed through the hall, Kai noticed several glass greenhouses filled with lush greenery. The greenhouses teemed with vibrant trees, shrubs, and flowers, giving the area the feel of an indoor garden rather than a battle arena. Speaking of which, the perfume I bought yesterday was made here. Kai realized the staff, mostly young, beautiful women, not only maintained the gym, but also managed the adjoining perfume shop. Grass-type Pokémon roamed freely throughout the facility, playing and frolicking under the watchful eyes of the staff. It was clear they were well cared for. At the end of the path, they reached an elegantly simple room. Through the window, Kai saw Erika seated on a tatami mat, delicately trimming flowers in a vase while teaching a group of women. The blue-haired girl noticed Kai's curiosity and explained, "Miss Erika is not just the gym leader, she's also a renowned ikebana artist. Every week, people come to learn flower arranging from her. Do you also enjoy ikebana, sir?" "Well, in a way," Kai replied with a smile. "Arranging flowers is both calming and uplifting. It's a great way to ease the mind." Soon, the lesson ended. Erika stepped out of the room and immediately recognized Kai. "You're the one from the shop yesterday," she said, with a smile. "That's right," Kai confirmed. "I hope I wasn't a bother then. Today, I've come to challenge you." Kai took a moment to observe Erika. She was petite, around 18 or 19, with a graceful presence. Her traditional kimono and serene demeanor reflected her refined style, reminiscent of a Yamato Nadeshiko. "Well, please follow me," Erika said. The trio retraced their steps to a fork in the path that led toward the gym's battle arena. Along the way, Kai saw more grass-type Pokémon. Oddish, Bellsprout, Execute, Gloom, Victreebel, Vileplume. "You have such a diverse collection of grass types," Kai remarked. Erika smiled. "I've always loved nature and grass-type Pokémon. They bring me peace. The perfumes in our shop are made using the leaves and flowers from these Pokémon." At the battlefield, Kai noted its simplicity. The arena was open, with no special terrain that would favor grass types. However, a skylight above allowed sunlight to pour in, illuminating the entire space, a natural advantage for grass Pokemon during sunny weather. A blue-haired girl stepped forward to referee.
Erica said, "The rules are simple. Each of us can use 3 Pokemon. If you manage to defeat all of mine, you win."
With that, she sent out her first Pokemon. It was a Pokemon completely covered in blue vines. Only its red boot-like feet and 2 large eyes were visible through the tangles. Kai selected his first Pokemon and threw the Pokeball. "Go, Charmander!" The small fire-type Pokemon emerged, the flame on its tail burning brightly. Erica frowned slightly, but seemed composed. As a grass-type specialist, she had likely faced countless fire-type challengers before. The referee raised her hand. Begin. Erica took the initiative. Tangela used Stun Spore. Charmander counter with Ember. Char. A cloud of sparkling yellow powder drifted toward Charmander. However, the embers it exhaled ignited the powder in midair, causing it to burst into flames. The resulting fire blazed toward Tangela, forcing it to evade. Despite Tangela's boosted speed under the sunlight, it narrowly dodged the attack. Erica's strategy to paralyze Charmander early had failed. Now the battle was swinging in Kai's favor. Charmander, keep using Ember. Since fire is super effective against grass, Kai didn't need to adjust his strategy. He relied on fire moves to put heavy pressure on the Tangela. Erica shouted Tangela use Vine Whip to entangle it. Tangela, which had been deftly dodging the flames, suddenly darted forward, its vines writhing and swiftly coiling around Charmander, binding it tightly, closing the distance for a physical attack. Kai thought, his lips curling into a smirk. That works in my favor. With the chlorophyll ability boosting Tangela's speed in the sunny weather, it had been difficult for Kai to plan an energy-efficient way to end the battle. But now that Tangela had delivered itself into range, he wasn't about to waste the opportunity. Charmander, let your Ember travel along its vines. Char. Despite being tightly squeezed, Charmander strained against the pain. At Kai's command, it opened its mouth and launched a ball of Ember, sending flames racing along the vines directly toward Tangela. Uh-oh, Erica cried, her voice filled with urgency. Tangela let go, but it was too late. The fire spread rapidly along the vines, engulfing Tangela in flames. In the next instant, Tangela was ablaze, resembling a moving fireball. Nice work, Kai said calmly. Charmander, now get closer. When Tangela finally managed to extinguish the flames, it saw an orange figure already rushing toward it. Before it could react, Kai issued another command. Charmander unleashed another burst of Ember, directly hitting Tangela. Super effective. Tangela was left with severe burns, shaking her head. Erica returned it to its Pokeball. She then threw out her next Pokemon. Out emerged a Pokemon resembling a trumpet with a wide mouth. Its yellow body was adorned with large green leaves on either side, and its round black eyes gave it a slightly dazed expression. Though Charmander had taken minor damage earlier, Kai showed no intention of switching it out, and it will help Charmander to become more powerful, and maybe he could also evolve. As the battle began anew, Erica, perhaps mindful of her earlier loss, took the initiative. Weepinbell, use Razor Leaf. A flurry of sharp leaves shot toward Charmander. Kai motioned with his hand. Charmander, counter it with Ember. The two moves collided mid-air, neutralizing each other with a loud explosion. But when the dust cleared, Weepinbell had vanished. Fast. Could it also have the chlorophyll ability? Kai exclaimed. You guessed right, Erica replied with a sly smile, briefly glancing at the Curlia standing beside Kai. Your Pokemon may have the type advantage, but the bright sunshine today has helped level the playing field. Her tone and subtle smirk carried a teasing challenge. Kai couldn't help but admire her confidence. Returning his focus to the battle, Kai saw Weepinbell closing in. Charmander used Smokescreen. A thick black cloud erupted from Charmander's mouth, enveloping the field. But as the smoke spread, Weepinbell suddenly fired a sticky yellow liquid into the darkness. Acid! Weepinbell's combination of speed and precision left Charmander. No time to evade fully. Although most of the acid splashed harmlessly, some droplets struck, causing Charmander to wince in pain. Despite the injury, Charmander steadied itself. The smoke now blanketed half the battlefield, hiding Charmander from view. The arena grew tense, with a silence so profound you could hear a pin drop. After a long pause with no sign of Charmander, Erica narrowed her eyes at Kai. Stalling until the acid's effects fade, she speculated. Determined not to let Kai gain the upper hand, Erica shouted, "Weeping Bell, use Razor Leaf into the smoke." But as the leaves flew, Kai seized the moment. Now! Charmander burst from the other side of the smoke, ignoring the grazing blows from the Razor Leaf, and launched a direct ember at Weeping Bell. Weeping Bell, still locked in the attack animation, couldn't dodge in time. The flame struck head-on, super effective. The blue-haired referee raised her hand. Weeping Bell is unable to battle. Erica recalled Weeping Bell and prepared her third Pokémon. Just as she was about to send it out, a glow enveloped Charmander. Huh? Is it evolving? Charmander's body began to change, its silhouette growing larger and more powerful. When the light faded, it had evolved into Charmeleon. Charmeleon's appearance was fiercer, its skin darker, its claws sharper, and its eyes brimming with energy. A horn-like protrusion had also formed on its head. The newly evolved Charmeleon roared, its fighting spirit surging. With this evolution, Kai's starter Pokémon had all reached their second forms. Erica sighed softly, understanding the stakes had just risen. Despite her reluctance to see her Pokémon hurt, her pride as a gym leader drove her forward. Go Gloom? As the red light flashed, a Pokémon with short limbs, closed eyes resembling Brock's, and a red-brown flower on its head appeared on the battlefield. Its shape was similar to the Rafflesia flower found in tropical rainforests. The stamen on its head was surrounded by 4 spherical petals, and beneath the massive flower was a body resembling a blue plant bulb. The air around Gloom was thick with its stench. Even though Kai stood in the trainer's command area, he could smell it from a distance. Judging from its odor, it seemed to share the same stench ability as the Stunky they had encountered the day before. Kai glanced at his Charmeleon who, despite the unbearable smell causing it to wince and gag, stood firm, determined not to retreat. It seemed to have experience battling such opponents before, and its unwavering spirit burned brightly in its eyes. Knowing the situation would worsen if he delayed, Kai took the initiative. Charmeleon, start with an attack. Charmeleon opened its mouth, unleashing a flame far more powerful and intense than its usual ember. Flamethrower already, Erica exclaimed, her eyes widening. Gloom, dodge it. Unfortunately for Erica, without chlorophyll to boost its speed, Gloom's sluggish movements rendered evasion futile. The scorching flames hit their target, engulfing Gloom in a blaze. As the flames dissipated, Erica called out quickly, Gloom, use sleep powder. Recognizing the threat, Kai anticipated her strategy. Charmeleon, use smoke screen. Char. The black smoke spread across the battlefield, creating a dense veil. Meanwhile, fine green powder floated from Gloom's flower, mixing into the smoke and dispersing across the arena. Through the thinning smoke, Erica saw Charmeleon stumble, its movements slowing before it collapsed into a deep sleep. Well done. Gloom, use growth. Erica commanded. Gloom's body glowed faintly green as its size increased, and its abilities were further bolstered by the sunlight streaming into the arena. Kai realized Charmeleon would not awaken without external stimuli, so he remained silent, waiting for Erica's next move. After a pause, Erica revealed her trump card. Gloom, use Solar Beam. The Gloom began absorbing sunlight, particles of light gathering at its stamen. Within moments, a radiant ball of energy formed, and with a burst of power, it unleashed the Solar Beam. The beam cut through the remaining smoke, striking Charmeleon squarely. The attack sent it staggering back, nearly knocking it out. Though grass moves were only half as effective against fire types, the boosted power from growth made the attack devastating. Charmeleon struggled to rise, its body trembling from exhaustion, but the intense damage also roused it from its slumber. With a roar, Charmeleon's Blaze ability activated, igniting its fighting spirit. Without waiting for Kai's command, it charged at Gloom, driven purely by instinct. Impressive spirit, Erica praised, but with its strength nearly depleted, what can it accomplish? Gloom, use poison powder. Gloom released a cloud of green powder, forming a toxic barrier. Erica intended to force Charmeleon to retreat, but it pressed forward fearlessly, leaping through the poisonous cloud. Mid-air, Charmeleon opened its jaws, its teeth ablaze, and clamped down on Gloom's body. Fire Fang, Erica gasped. Gloom screeched in pain, flames searing its petals. Erica was about to command a counterattack, but the poison powder had finally taken its toll. Charmeleon wavered and collapsed, succumbing to its injuries. Erica let out a sigh of relief, but before the referee could declare the match over, something unexpected occurred. Gloom's body turned bright red, trembling violently. "A burn?" Erica exclaimed. The burn damage from Fire Fang proved too much. Gloom fell, unable to battle. Both trainers stared in shock as the blue-haired referee finally raised her hand. Both Pokémon are unable to battle. The challenger wins. Kai recalled his Charmeleon, whispering his gratitude. This gym battle had pushed them both to their limits. The unexpected burn revealed Charmeleon's true potential, and Kai vowed to nurture it further. Erica approached with a warm smile. "Congratulations on your victory. Your Charmeleon's determination was truly impressive. You've earned this." She handed him the rainbow badge, a beautifully designed emblem shaped like a blooming flower with petals in rainbow hues. Kai placed the badge in his case, bowing slightly. "Thank you, Miss Erica. I look forward to our paths crossing again." As he left the gym, the rainbow badge gleamed in the sunlight, a testament to his hard-earned victory. Haunter, use Shadow Ball. Under the sunny sky of Cerise Park, Haunter and Zapdos darted around in a fierce aerial chase. Electric and ghost-type moves streaked across the battlefield, colliding in flashes of light and shadow. When one of Haunter's Shadow Balls struck Zapdos, both Pokémon, having expended more than half their stamina, began to tire, signaling the end of their intense training session. As they descended to the ground, both were visibly out of breath. Judging by the battle, if Haunter hadn't used Hypnosis, their contest would have been entirely even. After months of training and bonding, Zapdos finally began to lower its guard around Kai. Though it wasn't fully obedient yet, Kai could command it without much trouble, a significant step forward. Nearby, Ivysaur basked lazily in the sun. Wartortle floated on its back in the pond, Charmeleon rested on a rock with its tail flicking idly, and Jolteon darted around, playfully pestering its teammates. Suddenly, Kirlia let out a soft cry, catching Kai's attention. With a quick motion, he returned Zapdos to its Pokeball, while Haunter silently slipped back into his shadow. Moments later, a boy and a girl entered the park. It was Chloe and Go. Kai picked up a brush from the ground and walked to the pond, calling for Wartortle. While gently scrubbing the gaps in its shell, he asked, "What brings you two here?" Chloe clasped her hands behind her back, her big eyes sparkling. "Dad mentioned you returned to the lab yesterday. So after school, I came to see Kirlia. Go insisted on tagging along. I had no choice." Kirlia, ever elegant, bent slightly in a dancer-like bow to Chloe, who returned the gesture with a smile. Meanwhile, Go paced the area, hands behind his head, scanning the expansive park. "Is this all the Pokemon you've caught so far, Kai? After traveling for so long, if it were me, I'd have at least a dozen more by now." His tone was half-mocking, his confidence evident. The sight of Kai's rare Pokemon had impressed him at first, but now he seemed less convinced of Kai's prowess. Before Go could say more, a large dark face emerged from Kai's shadow, floating unnervingly close to him. "Boo!" Go yelped, stumbling back with a high-pitched shriek. But Haunter wasn't finished. In the pond, a huge shape broke the surface of Gyarados, its ferocious, gaping maw and piercing eyes locked onto Go, who froze in terror. "Grrr? A kid?" With a startled cry, Go tripped and fell backwards into the water with a loud splash. Spluttering, he paddled to the edge and scrambled out, soaked and shivering. Go shot a glare at Haunter. "Why is there a Pokemon hiding in your shadow? And do you have to scare people like that?" "Geez, you're jumpy," Haunter replied with a mischievous laugh. "If you're this scared, how do you expect to become a Pokemon trainer? Maybe you should rethink your career goals." "Wait, it can talk?" Go gasped, pointing a trembling finger at Haunter. Haunter rolled its eyes. "Wow, someone's easily impressed. Looks like you will not survive in catching the Pokemons." It sank back into Kai's shadow, still snickering. Kai, unfazed, walked to his backpack and pulled out a neatly wrapped box, handing it to Chloe. "This is a gift I picked up for you in Celadon City." "For me?" Chloe exclaimed, her face lighting up as she opened the box. Inside was an elegant bottle of perfume. She sprayed a little on her wrist, and a delicate fragrance filled the air. "It smells amazing. Just the other day, my classmates were talking about Celadon's perfumes. They're supposed to be the best in Kanto." Seeing Chloe's delight, Kai felt a sense of relief. Ko, however, scowled slightly at her enthusiasm. "It's too early for you to be wearing perfume," he grumbled. Aren't you a little young for that? Stop being so old-fashioned. Chloe shot back, rolling her eyes. Perfume isn't just about smelling nice. It can relax you, boost your mood, and even help you focus. It's not just for adults. Go opened his mouth to retort, but found himself at a loss for words. Oh, that's right, Chloe exclaimed, turning back to Kai. My mom said her latest comic is finished. She asked if you could come by to pick it up when you have time. Already? Kai said, surprised. However, instead of heading to Chloe's house right away, he first returned to the lab to find Professor Cerise. Professor, could you transfer Zapdos from this Pokeball to a Premier Ball? Kai asked, setting the two balls on the table. Professor Cerise adjusted his glasses. Oh, why the switch? Kai sighed. Zapdos has finally started cooperating, but it's still hung up on being captured in a regular Pokeball. Using a Premier Ball might ease its mind and make it more comfortable. Ah, I see, the professor said with a nod. No problem, leave it to me. Later at Chloe's house. Inside, Kai sat with Chloe and her mother, Talia Cerise, while Chloe's younger brother, Parker, played outside with his friends. Kai handed Talia a gift he had brought for her. You've been working so hard, Mrs. Cerise. This is just a small token of appreciation. Oh, you didn't have to, Talia said, though she accepted the gift with a grateful smile. While Chloe poured tea for everyone, Kai's attention was drawn to a beautifully bound manga sitting on the table. Opening it, he admired the intricate illustrations. He had read earlier chapters before, but the new pages impressed him even more. Talia's artistry brought the characters' emotions to life with remarkable detail, capturing the depth and essence of the story flawlessly. This is fantastic, Kai said, closing the book with a smile. When this gets published, I'm sure it'll be a huge hit. Talia blushed slightly at the praise. Thank you. Hearing that makes all the effort worthwhile. Porta Vista is located between Vermilion City and Maiden's Peak. Until a few months ago, it was just a simple wharf town. However, due to its location by the sea, a wealthy investor set their sights on the area. They plan to build a luxurious seaside hotel, hoping to transform Porta Vista into a famous resort destination rivaling Celadon City. After leaving Vermilion City, Kai passed through Post Vista on his way unexpectedly. At the pier, he ran into Ash, Misty, and Brock again. The trio sat lazily on the shore, staring at the endless sea, seemingly lost in thought. What are you three doing here? Kai's sudden voice startled them. Huh? Kai, Misty exclaimed, springing to her feet. Her earlier listlessness vanished, replaced by vibrant energy. Brock greeted Kai and then sighed. We're waiting for the ferry. We originally planned to take the ship to Fuchsia City on the other side of the sea, but we missed it. Now we'll have to wait at least 3 hours for the next one. After chatting, Kai learned that the group had been busy since their last meeting. After challenging the Celadon gym, they rested in Celadon City for a day, captured a wild primate, reunited a lost child with their family, defeated Team Rocket in the Celadon shopping district, and helped Brock catch a Vulpix. In terms of adventure, their journey had been rich and colorful. Ash, however, was more concerned about badges. After hearing that Kai had earned the rainbow badge, Ash excitedly asked, "Want to challenge the Fuchsia Gym with us?" "Not yet," Kai replied politely, shaking his head. "I still have things to handle. You guys should go ahead." At that moment, Misty noticed something floating in the sea. "Hey, look over there, it's a horse, so cute." Everyone turned to see a Pokémon shaped like a seahorse, with its head partially visible above the water, watching them. However, Brock quickly noticed something odd. Strange. It looks injured. Kai squinted to get a better look. Indeed, Horse's face seemed bruised, with a large blue discoloration. Such a sharp observation. Kai glanced at Brock, wondering if his constant squinting gave him superior focus. Horsea didn't flee despite being watched. Instead, it called out a few times before spitting a large puddle of black ink onto the sea, as if trying to convey a message. The ink spread out and formed a drawing on the water, two jellyfish-like shapes. "Is it drawing something?" Ash asked, staring at the image. "But why jellyfish?" Misty, with her love for water-type Pokemon, pulled out a Pokeball and aimed it at Horsea. "If it's injured, helping it should come first. Horsea, come into the Pokeball." Just as Misty was about to throw the Pokeball, a loud explosion from a distance drew their attention. A small cargo ship passing near the under-construction Seafoam Hotel had been attacked. The explosion split the ship in two, and it quickly sank into the sea, emitting thick smoke. Crew members were thrown overboard in the chaos. What's happening? Ash and Brock jumped to their feet in shock. Now's not the time to wonder. Misty shouted, "People are in the water. We need to help." Energized by anything water-related, Misty put away her Pokeball, temporarily ignoring Horsa, and released 3 of her Pokemon. Golden, Starmie, and Staryu rescue those people. Kai released his Wartortle to assist, while Ash and Brock quickly secured a speedboat and headed toward the survivors. With the speedboat's limited space, Misty joined Ash and Brock, while Kai stayed behind, observing. Beneath the wreckage, he noticed a group of creatures glowing red as they swam away. As he suspected, this was just like the events of the anime episode, a colony of Tentacool and Tentacruel, seeking revenge on humans. After a frantic rescue, the survivors were brought back to the pier. However, they were in bad shape, their bodies paralyzed and unable to move. "We were attacked by Pokémon," one crew member gasped, grabbing Brock's arm. "Quickly, notify the president." In a nearby office, Kai, Ash, Misty, and Brock met the president of the company. She was a short, elderly woman with a stern demeanor, long red hair tied in a bun, and a sharp tongue. 4 sharply dressed male assistants stood at her side, attending to her every need. They learned her name was Nestina. Though eccentric and verbose, she constantly added an air of arrogance to her tone. "Wait a minute." Ash stared at her. "Didn't we meet someone like you in Porta Vista?" Nestina's expression darkened. "Don't compare me to that wretched woman. That's my cousin, and I'm nothing like her." "Your cousin?" Kai couldn't help but shake his head. There seemed to be no end to look-alike characters in the Pokemon world. Whether it was Officer Jenny, Nurse Joy, or even Professor Oak's cousin in Alola, the resemblances were uncanny. Nestina led them to a model of the under-construction hotel and explained, "I'm building a tourist resort to surpass Celadon City. The Seafoam Paradise Hotel will be a landmark. But those blasted Tentacool and Tentacruel have been attacking us constantly, delaying my project. It's causing me endless trouble." Looking at the group, she proposed, "Since you can handle Pokemon, why not help me drive them away? If you succeed, I'll reward you with 100 million Pokédollars. Hearing about the 100 million reward, both Ash and Brock were visibly excited. However, before either of them could speak, Misty loudly refused. "Stop joking. Who would agree to such a ridiculous request?" After speaking, she grabbed Kai's arm and stormed out of the office. As they walked along the coast in the small town, Ash and Brock were still puzzled over why Misty was so angry. "Wait a minute, Misty. Why don't you want to help her?" Ash asked, confused. "With that reward, I could finally pay you back for your bike. That Nestina is outrageous." Misty fumed. "Tentacools are so adorable. Why would anyone want to harm them? I'm sure there's a reason they're attacking humans." Tentacool. Adorable. Ash, Brock, and Kai exchanged skeptical glances. "That's right," Misty said dreamily. "Tentacool feels soft and pleasant, and the red part on their heads is called the Ruby of the Sea." "Ruby?" Ash groaned. "Whenever water-type Pokemon are involved, you completely change, Misty." At that moment, a loud broadcast echoed throughout the town. The voice of Nestina boomed over the speakers. "To drive away the Tentacool menace, we are recruiting capable trainers. Anyone who can get rid of those hateful Tentacools will receive a reward of 100 million. I want to develop this town, and no Tentacool is going to stop me. Trainers, hurry to the pier." The announcement was repeated 3 times, stirring the trainers in town. Whether motivated by greed, a desire to help, or mere curiosity, crowds began to gather at the port. "How could she do this?" Misty exclaimed, frowning. She immediately turned toward the pier, leaving the others to scramble after her. When they arrived, the pier was already packed. Kai and the others squeezed through the throng to see Nestina sitting in a tank. To their surprise, Team Rocket was also present, boarding a boat after seemingly accepting the task. "Team Rocket?" Misty gasped, her unease growing. "If they're involved, this is going to get even worse." Sure enough, Team Rocket's boat sailed toward the coral reef, but was swiftly attacked by Tentacool, resulting in an explosion. Only then did the townspeople realize that tens of thousands of Tentacool had gathered near the reef. Beneath the water, their dark forms created an ominous shadow, and the glowing red orbs on their heads shimmered with a sinister light, creating an unsettling sight. But then something strange occurred. After being doused with an unknown liquid by Team Rocket, one Tentacool suddenly mutated, evolving into a massive Tentacool towering tens of meters high. When the enormous tentacruel emerged, panic erupted among the townspeople. Some, seeing the terrifying sight, quietly fled. "How did it grow so massive?" Misty exclaimed, her eyes wide with disbelief. Kai speculated, "It could be Dynamax energy. Maybe that liquid contained substances imported from the Galar region. That's the only explanation for such an abnormal phenomenon." "Dynamax?" Ash echoed, intrigued. "Oh, I remember. We saw a giant Pokémon in the fog near Bill's lighthouse. Was that a Dynamax Pokémon too?" "Who knows," Kai replied, shaking his head. "There are many mysteries in the Pokémon world that science has yet to uncover. There's still so much we don't understand." Misty chuckled lightly. "You sound like a researcher when you talk like that, Kai." Do I?" Kai asked, surprised. Maybe it's from spending too much time around Professor Cerise. Meanwhile, the massive tentacruel had climbed onto the construction site of the unfinished hotel. Its tentacles wrapped around the structure, crushing it entirely, like a scene from a monster movie. Seeing her dreams crumble, Nestina's face paled, and she nearly fainted. "You destroyed my hotel. I'll never forgive you. Attack. Attack," she shrieked. The tank she was sitting in began firing, and a group of henchmen appeared with rocket launchers aiming at the colossal tentacruel. But their weapons were useless. The attacks bounced harmlessly off Tentacruel's rubbery body, failing to inflict any damage. Unfortunately, the assault only enraged the Tentacruel further. With a powerful roar, it summoned a massive wave, sending its tentacle army to invade the town. "Everyone, stop standing around and run," Kai yelled, snapping Ash and Brock out of their shock. He grabbed Misty's hand and they all sprinted away. But the wave was relentless. Despite running tens of meters, the group was overtaken by the surge. Behind them, others were swept away and the town was reduced to chaos as buildings were flooded, cars submerged, and debris scattered everywhere. "Gyarados," Kai shouted, releasing his Gyarados from its Pokeball. The group quickly climbed onto its back and the water Pokemon carried them to safety. Eventually, they reached a TV tower on a nearby hill. From there, they looked down at the devastated town below. The enormous tentacruel, still furious, continued its rampage. It let its tentacles swarm deeper into the town, its tentacles destroying everything in sight. Brock sighed heavily. So this is what Horsa was trying to warn us about earlier. But why are they doing this? Misty wondered. If this keeps up, people will only hate them more. Kai pointed toward the ruins of the hotel. Look closely. That hotel was built on a coral reef, their home. Humans destroyed their habitat and invaded their territory. This is retaliation. As the seawater slowly receded, revealing the city overtaken by Tentacool, the residents, whether willing or not, had no choice but to make one last stand to protect their land. After retreating to a safe distance, everyone unanimously released their Pokemon to repel the Tentacool and launch a counterattack. Seeing this, Brock took out a Pokeball and called to Ash and Kai, "Let's help too." But Ash hesitated. How are we supposed to fight something that big? "Don't overthink it." Kai released his own Pokemon, calling out, "Let's deal with the smaller Tentacool first. Kirlia, Gyarados, Jolteon, Ivysaur, and Wartortle go help." At this critical moment, everyone realized they had no choice but to join the battle. Ash sent out Pikachu, Pidgeotto, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle. Brock released a Zubat, while Misty attempted to calm the commotion through persuasion. "It's no use," Kai warned, pulling Misty back as she tried to intervene. "Until the Tentacruel's anger subsides, it won't listen to reason. We need to let it calm down first, if we're to communicate with it." If anyone else had said this, Misty, true to her fiery personality, would likely have argued. But coming from Kai, she felt strangely convinced. Reluctantly, she nodded. "All right, then I'll help too. Go, Staryu, Starmie, and Goldeen." As the trainer's Pokemon joined the fray, the battle intensified, spreading across every corner of the city. In such a chaotic, large-scale melee, issuing individual orders was nearly impossible. The trainers had to rely on their Pokemon's instincts and past experiences to fight effectively. Despite their best efforts, the overwhelming number of tentacles and the immense power of the colossal tentacle made it impossible to gain the upper hand. As the battle dragged on and the city suffered extensive damage, Kai realized something had to be done. Hesitating for only a moment, he turned to Misty and said softly, "I'll leave my Pokemon to you for now. I need to take care of something." "Huh?" Misty asked, puzzled. "Where are you going?" Kai raised a finger to his lips, signaling for silence. Without explaining further, he slipped away from the group, heading toward the back of the TV tower. Once out of sight, Kai crouched in a quiet corner, and retrieved a Gengar mask from his bag. His haunter emerged from the shadows, its mischievous grin as sharp as ever. It seemed to have already guessed Kai's plan. "You're really going through with this?" Haunter asked. Kai smirked. "What? Planning to stop me?" "Stop you?" Haunter cackled. "This sounds too fun to miss." "Good, I'm counting on you to watch my back," Kai declared. He donned the mask and noticed a black raincoat snagged on a nearby bush. Using its hood as a makeshift cloak, he draped it over himself, ensuring his identity would remain concealed even from those who knew him well. With his preparations complete, Kai released his Zapdos. As soon as the legendary bird appeared, it spread its wings and let out an electrifying cry. Zapdos, like most legendary Pokémon, disliked being confined in a Pokeball and made its irritation clear. "Zapdos," Kai began. "This time, we're facing a huge and powerful opponent. I'm counting on you." Zapdos stared at Kai for a moment before nodding begrudgingly. "Good. Take me to the top of the TV tower," Kai said, pointing to the spire. Zapdos narrowed its eyes, clearly displeased. It squawked as if to say, "I'm not your personal transport." "Come on, don't look at me like that," Kai coaxed. "Without Kirlia, I can't teleport up there, and the tower's height gives us the perfect vantage point to command a battle." Zapdos turned its gaze to Haunter as if seeking support. "It's true," Kai added quickly. "Haunter would give me away. If I bring it with me, people might recognize who I am. I really need your help here." Without waiting for Zapdos' approval, Kai leapt onto its back and wrapped his arms tightly around its neck. The legendary bird bucked and twisted, trying to shake him off, but Kai clung stubbornly. "All right, Zapdos, no more wasting time," Kai urged. "This city needs us. Let's go." Reluctantly, Zapdos gave in. With a powerful flap of its wings, it soared into the sky, carrying Kai toward the top of the TV tower. As they ascended, Kai noticed how the bird's rigid, lightning-charged feathers prickled against his skin. The faint smell of ozone filled the air, mingling with the salty sea breeze whipping through his hair. Zapdos' speed was astonishing. Within moments, it reached the tower's rooftop. Kai dismounted smoothly, landing lightly before turning his gaze to the enormous Tentacruel in the distance. "Look at that, Zapdos," Kai said, pointing. "That's Tentacruel, our target. It may be massive, but it's still a jellyfish. With its water poison typing, we have the advantage." "Zizra, cake." Zapdos' eyes gleamed with determination. Letting out a fierce cry, it charged toward the Tentacruel without hesitation. Down below, the trainers continued their desperate battle. Despite their Pokemon's valiant efforts, the sheer number of tentacles overwhelmed them. Suddenly, a brilliant golden streak of lightning lit up the sky. Someone shouted, "Look, it's Zapdos." All heads turned skyward as they saw the legendary Pokemon. "Zapdos! It's really Zapdos! Why is this legendary Pokemon here?" The crowd erupted into astonished chatter. The sudden appearance of Zapdos captivated their attention even more than the massive Tentacruel. Just as someone considered abandoning the Tentacool to follow Zapdos, they witnessed it flying at incredible speed toward the giant Tentacool and launching an attack. What? It's attacking the giant Tentacruel. People were stunned momentarily before realizing something. Does Zapdos already have a trainer? Their eyes followed the direction Zapdos had come from. After searching, they finally spotted a figure on the TV tower, a man wearing a black robe and a Gengar mask. The man's identity was obscured. His face and age were indeterminate due to the distance in the mask. The crowd could only see his mouth moving slightly, as though giving commands. On the roof, Kai stood on the edge of the tower, glancing down nervously. "Haunter, I'm starting to think I'm a little afraid of heights. My legs are shaking so much." From within Kai's shadow, Haunter's eyes gleamed. It sighed in exasperation. "If you're scared of heights, you should step back. Stop looking down and focus on Zapdos' battle." "No way," Kai replied with determination. "You can only overcome fear by facing it head on. But if I accidentally fall, you'll save me, right? Hey, why are you quiet all of a sudden? Say something." Haunter emerged slightly, feigning annoyance. I didn't realize you could be this chatty. Fine, if you fall, I'll catch you exactly 0.01 meters before you hit the ground. Maybe then you'll learn how scary a Haunter rescue can be. Hee hee. Haunter's dark humor lightened Kai's mood. Looking below, he saw his other Pokemon battling countless Tentacools under Misty's command. She is handling them better than expected, Kai thought to himself. The crowd was captivated. Many began recording Kai and Zapdos with their phones. Good thing I planned ahead, Kai mused. Otherwise, I'd be completely exposed by now. In the distance, Zapdos soared around the massive Tentacruel, electricity surging from its wings as it attacked. The Tentacruel retaliated, firing laser-like beams from the ruby atop its head. Despite being struck multiple times by Zapdos' electric attacks, the enormous Tentacruel seemed unfazed, its durability boosted by its sheer size. Kai shouted, "Zapdos! Don't hold back, use Thunderbolt!" As if hearing him through the wind, Zapdos unleashed an overwhelming surge of electricity. Lightning radiated in all directions, hitting not only the Tentacruel but also the tentacles surrounding it. The Tentacool were instantly incapacitated, floating unconscious on the water's surface. Finally, the giant Tentacruel roared in pain, its tentacles writhing. One of its tentacles lifted Meowth Team Rocket's Meowth, to be precise. Controlled by poison affecting its nervous system, Meowth's voice echoed with Tentacruel's fury. "We are Tentacruel and Tentacruel. You humans destroyed our habitat, so we will destroy your city in revenge. Feel the despair of losing your home." Tentacruel turned its gaze toward Zapdos. "And you! You're a Pokemon like us! Why side with humans?" Zapdos' response was swift and decisive. Another thunderous strike. Tentacruel, enraged, lashed out with its many tentacles, but not one grazed Zapdos' feathers. Realizing Zapdos was untouchable, Tentacruel shifted its attention to Kai, moving its massive body toward the TV tower. Any Pokemon in its path was mercilessly swatted aside. Seeing this, Kai acted quickly. "Zapdos! Stop it with Drill Peck!" Zapdos swooped down, spinning rapidly in midair. Its beak glowed as it struck Tentacruel with tremendous force. Tentacruel roared in pain, the impact echoing across the city. The battle left spectators in awe. Wow, incredible. Is this the power of a legendary Pokemon? Trainers, including Ash and Brock, gazed at Zapdos with admiration. As tempting as it was for any trainer to imagine capturing a legendary Pokemon, Tentacruel wasn't defeated yet. It fired a powerful laser beam directly at the TV tower, striking the structure near Kai's position. The impact caused the tower to tremble and collapse under Kai's feet. As debris fell, Kai plummeted toward the ground, but Zapdos swooped in and caught him just in time. "Ha!" Kai exhaled in relief. His heart pounded from the close call. Tentacruel sure knows how to aim for the leader. "Thanks, Zapdos. After all the hits you've taken, you still saved me." For a moment, Zapdos considered dropping him again. Suddenly, Tentacruel fired another round of beams. Carrying Kai, Zapdos' speed was hindered, and it narrowly avoided the attacks. "This isn't working," Kai muttered. "Zapdos, use that move." Zapdos nodded, and Kai leapt off its back, astonishing the crowd. In a breathtaking display, Kai seemed to defy gravity, gliding effortlessly back to the tower's top. His descent against the wind left onlookers speechless. "My God! How did he do that?" Someone exclaimed,